take a look at the lineups that will be working against one another. I'm excited to see Adama Ball and his efforts. As a matter of fact, I'm excited to see Ball and on the other side, Dylan Anderson in red. We'll reintroduce you to these players as they enjoy a scrimmage tonight. And the jump ball. Need to take two. Let's take two on that.
You know, my first just my first initial look at this team. They are huge.
They are huge.
I mean, this is not a normal Division I basketball team. Looks like an NBA team.
Ball and Kriso work together, and Oumar Ballo takes that one home. That was great. Oumar Ballo, who captain of U19 multiple times, played in a big FIBA event in his home country of Mali in Western Africa. A kind roll here at home. Pelle Larsson.
Well, I think it's interesting, this right away, the red-blue team, I think, is really split up, you know, in trying to make it as fair as possible in this first half. And if you look last year, Tommy Lloyd actually then took sort of what would be the starters and put them on one team in the second half. Wanted to see them work together, but right now I think it's a very evenly split up team. There's
a possibility we may see the same thing. We've been tipped off to that in the second half. Maybe see 1 through 8 or 1 through 7 on one team. That's a 2. He was way off the mark. The Frenchman, a little bit firm on his shot. Adama Ball, Deuce, his nickname. I'm expecting a big growth out of Adama Ball this year.
Yeah, huge. He's a big time, to use my first cliche of the year, X Factor.
That is some presence. That 7'6" wingspan. Oumar Ballo. By the way, he was 7 points, 4 rebounds a game last year.
Watch this little matchup here. Ramey and Kerr Kriisa. This is a great matchup. They'll play together most of the time this season, but to see them go head-to-head is going to be fun.
The question is for the big fella Ballo, can they get the same kind of production they got last year, but in 25 minutes a game? They're going to up his minutes. Can he give them same production?
Well, and he was off the bench. So when you come off the bench, you know, you have a game where, oh, by the way, now all of a sudden it's really happening here in McHale, because we see Richard Jefferson. And when Richard Jefferson comes through, it's over, man. It's over. What's happening? He's the mayor. Richard is the mayor.
I thought you were the mayor until Richard showed up.
Yeah, this guy is the man. I mean, and you know, look, Kerr, Elliott, beloved Wildcats. We saw it, Raleigh Alkins, JT, guys that came, DeAndre Ayton, but Richard Jefferson, when he comes in, I mean, as loved as anyone in an Arizona uniform ever.
Pelle Larsson has that one stripped away. Pelle had some big moments last year, and he's another one. The pride of Nacka, Sweden. He's hanging with the students now, doing selfies.
He's going to be doing it for the next 24 hours when he's here.
He's head up the aisle. Look at him.
You know it. Man of the people.
Well, he's so busy. He's such a media presence now. Does a great job. Not just a voice of college and professional basketball, but of all of sports. He really
does.
Is a guy who's a spokesperson for sports and athletics. Does a really nice job.
You know, a teammate of mine, Tom Tolbert, you know, is a great radio announcer up in the Barry, does TV, does basketball, does everything. But I thought what made Tom great was he was so good at all sports. He understood, and still does, football, baseball, basketball, obviously, but he understands everything. You know, wrestling, WWE wrestling, but that's the same with Richard. Richard is a very nice block. Cedric Henderson Jr., the first look at him. Nice transition block.
A little bit firm on the pass, but a second chance. Vesar grabs it. By the way, do you folks notice Vesar bring the ball up 2 possessions ago?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 7-footer.
When I first saw him, he kind of reminded me of Pau Gasol, just like the size and the skill level, you know, that length that he has. I mean, look, that's a huge comparison to a guy that's probably a Hall of Famer, but
this is that block.
Well, you know, one thing Cedric Henderson Jr. said about coming to Arizona is he said, I'm a two-way player. And, you know, you see it right there, the hustle coming back and the length to get that block.
Maybe a 3-4 hybrid if you're looking for position. That cutting aspect that you talked about that he prides himself in, that's big when you think of Tommy's offense.
It really is. I think I'm going to be really excited to see him move without the ball. He's done it more than anybody on this team for sure.
Pelle, Pac-12 Sixth Man of the Year last year, as he has a pretty little runner drop home. Had some moments, certainly. Anderson had 13 points, 6 assists, and a win at Stanford on the road.
Pella just looks, there's Ball right there. I think another guy that, could really help this team make a big step. He came in that UCLA game in the Pac-12 tournament. He hit 2 threes out of nowhere. I got a text from my 14-year-old daughter that said, who is Adama Ball and why is he not playing more? And I think we all just said, well, we know who this guy is and he's really talented, but was young, was really a young player last year, and I think he's going to have a chance. He made a play in practice the other day on Monday. I was actually sitting right next to Tommy Lloyd and Jason Gardner, and we all just sort of stood up like, whoa. He makes these flashes that show the athleticism and the skill.
Well, there's some presence there in Cedric Henderson Jr., who tries to continue to elevate, athletically jump, block shots. There's also presence next to him, and Dylan Anderson. Anderson kind of clogged things up, getting in the way just ahead that time of Azuolas Tubelis. Anderson, the son of Marlene and Cedric. Matthew Lang comes on graduate transfer. He'll be attending Eller College of Business. Was at Gonzaga for 4 years.
And I'll tell you right now, came on, I think, ostensibly as a walk-on, but this guy can play. I saw him the other day in practice, and he knocked down, I'd say, 4 out of 5 jump shots. Beautiful left-handed stroke.
Knows the system, can coach up the walk-ons, can kind of be a voice of that second team, if you will. I think that's kind of where he serves a really good role. Cylinder, yes. No basket. I think it's interesting when you think about a guy like Lang, just to finish the thought, and he makes this choice, right? He had some offers, definitely some lower-level D1 offers. He wanted to come here. This may be the beginning of his coaching career, if you think about it.
You could see that coming for sure.
And so he's the understudy for a coach that's meant so much to him. And then you get to play in some ball games on occasion, too.
Yeah, he'll play. Yeah, he definitely will. As I said, he looked great in practice.
And go to a really good business school. The big fella, Ballo, dumps that one home.
That's Ballo's little funky little shot he does, from that top there right by the free throw line. He did that. He brought that out in the Washington State game last year on the road, and I think people said, what was that?
We're going to speak with head coach Tommy Lloyd when we come back. Good stuff. That's something we will never get during the regular season, so let's take advantage of it now.
My favorite part is just asking him questions and then in the middle saying, hey, we're shooting too many threes.
No, there's no doubt.
Yeah, he's nicely answering questions.
That second answer, or the last answer when he was speaking with me, his mind was gone. He was starting to drift off into what he was seeing, because he immediately headed over to get caught up. I think he went right over to talk with Ricardo Foyce, who he is spending time with, who's coaching the blue team. Foyce time with the Suns and played at Pepperdine, came over from Italy, played professionally, then back in Italy, one of the great minds of the game. We don't talk enough about Ricardo Foyce.
Yeah, they have a big-time staff. There's so many good staffs around the Pac-12 for sure. We talk about them a lot. Tommy Lloyd's staff is as good as any. Tons of experience. Wow, when you have walk-ons doing tip dunks, that's a pretty good bench right over there.
Yeah, it's Jordan Maines going up the ladder there. There's Coach Foyce. 2 years with the Suns prior to that. 5 years on the staff with Gonzaga. Analytics, video breakdown. An advanced coach, if you want to talk about the intel of the sport.
Well, I think just a young, really fiery, fun coach that knows the game, knows all, as you said, kind of the new, the numbers and things like that. But another guy that's helping Tommy Lloyd in the development of players does a lot of that.
Dylan Anderson at the line. He's from Gilbert, Arizona. 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year, 7 feet. You're looking at that massive frame. State title that he won at Perry High School. Name like maybe Channing Frye, you may remember, who was also an Arizona Player of the Year one time as a prep player.
Yeah, I saw him in warm-ups. I saw him in practice the other day, but in warm-ups tonight, he's bigger than I thought. I didn't know he was that big, and I really like kind of the whole skill set he brings. He's going at it with Ballo in this first half.
Tautvilas Tubelis, 6'7" junior, played in 14 games last year, notched points 4 different occasions. Scoring, what are we seeing? Ballo's got 6 with 4 rebounds. We're seeing some droughts in shooting. We're seeing what is to be expected on September 30th.
Well, I think this is always the time too. All the basketball guys say, "Well, our defense is way ahead of our offense."
What a fun opportunity to work, right? If you're a newer player, whether you're a transfer, a grad transfer, or you're a freshman, what an opportunity 4 practices in to be in front of another sellout crowd.
Yeah, and that's really the big advantage.
To remind you why you're going back to work now.
That's the big advantage, and it's fun for everybody. A community thing. This is just a joyful event. You're not going to get a ton of great intel out of this on your team. Maybe a little bit here and there how guys perform, but this is the first time I think that you come together as a team, and it's like, hey, you're trying to do some things yourself. You're trying to prove some things, show everybody what I did in the off season, but at the same time play as a team. That's hard to do.
And the thing that's pretty impressive is fitness so far. It means they haven't been laying low in the off season. Trying to get it to Filip Borovic, the freshman out of Belgrade, Serbia. Ton of turnovers so far for sure. It was turned over by Bro, and brother on the other end took advantage of it. Julius Tubelis.
As good as anyone in the Pac-12 conference and maybe the nation, when he gets the ball in the open court, it is over. Didn't really slam it in, but he could have if he wanted to. Just an incredibly powerful power forward. And I think, again, we go back and forth on all these players. He's the one guy that I think for them, he can get to the free throw line. He can score inside. He can score outside. And I think the outside is the key for him this year. Can he keep teams honest enough to play up on him? Because some teams would play off on him towards the end of the season. But when he gets the ball in the post, DeAndre Ayton, talk about the post. Ooh, that's what I don't think I looked like that as a freshman. Not that ripped.
It's interesting with Tubelis last year, and they didn't lose much at all anyway, but last year when he had 9 or more boards in a game, happened 13 times, they didn't lose. They were 13-0 when he had 9 or more rebounds. They are going to need that presence certainly in the middle, and it depends, as you said, how much he pulls them out. He dropped in 10 threes last year, but again, it's kind of that mid-range jumper to pull them out for that as well.
Yeah, I think of the pro Sabonis, Arvydas Sabonis' son, and that's the guy ultimately that Tubelis wants to be. And what made Sabonis great when he was over at Gonzaga under Tommy Lloyd was not just the offense, but he was just a tank on the boards. I think he averaged 11 or 12 in college, and that's, Tubelis, if he could average a double-double, I think that's the high-end goal for him.
We'll keep an eye on number 1 in red when it heads back the other way. We haven't talked a lot about Filip Borovic out of Serbia. And an athlete that was recruited a lot by Coach Murphy. Jack Murphy made that one happen. Henderson drops in the triple. That's Cedric Henderson Jr. And again, 1,196 points in 3 years at Campbell.
Yeah, we talked, I've said a couple times tonight, and there's Borovic, and that's a nice move right there, even though he had the charge. I like the skill level. But going back to Cedric Henderson Jr., the thing that was interesting, I watched his game against Duke, and he had 18. Here's the Borovic hoop, and you can see just the skill here. Kind of a tough call for him right there. That was a pretty good take. But as I was saying against Henderson, he scored in that Duke game. What I was impressed with from everywhere. He got to the free throw line. He had a couple dunks. He had a couple mid-range games where he came off the dribble and then made a couple threes. Just what we saw right there. And that's, being that 3-level score is going to be big.
We saw Kerr just a moment ago. This is not 100% his team per se, but as the point guard, it somewhat does fall on his shoulders to lead it. We talked about the evolution of not just the 3 as he was off the mark with that one, but penetration. In his last 14 games last year, he attempted a total of 11 two-point baskets. In a 14-game run, only 11 two-point baskets. Made just a pair. That's the part of his game you got to feel that will evolve.
Yeah, I think it will. It evolved even a little bit last year, because if you remember the year before, I think he had 2 attempts from 2 now in very limited action. And remember, too, the ankle was hurt in the last 3 or 4 games.
Yep.
So that stat went down a little. But to your point, definitely needs to have a little more game inside the arc. And I think, whoa, okay.
How about that? Henry Vesar. Real Madrid to Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, his length is elite. And I think his skill level is as well. Vesar is going.
They were out here long before any of us were getting ready, so that was a real fun thing to see.
Yeah, we used to play against them in a game after the season, and it was impossible. You know, they were incredible athletes, did such a great job. It was really fun seeing them every year.
All right, back to analyzing what we're seeing on the hardwood on September 30th as Kriisa penetrated. He was trying to dump that ball into Adama Ball. The presence of Anderson has jumped out. Dylan Anderson, the freshman from Gilbert, 7 feet. The other 7-footer, Henry Vesar, has announced his presence with authority as well. That's a storyline, certainly. Pelle Larsson along the baseline. Tippy-toed on that baseline, send it back the other way.
And I think the other guy that stood out to me is Ballo. I think he looks good.
Great call.
He's running well. He's finishing. And his role is just going to be completely different. You know, the 6th man, you can come in, have a great impact, have a great game, but if you're not, they take you out. You know, nobody's going to say you lost us the game. But as a starter, as Vesar now shooting a 3, I think, you know, Ballo has a little more responsibility and a little more expectation, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. So far, so good.
How a player impacts a game, similar if you're a baseball fan to WAR. The stat is called win shares in college basketball. And last year, Omar Ballo, as it pertains to win shares per 40 minutes, to be fair, per 40 minutes, number 2 on this team to Christian Koloko. Win shares per 40 minutes. All around, offensive, defensive. How are you impacting the game?
Okay.
Advanced metrics, number 2.
I love that. Win shares are right there on cue.
That'll win. That'll grab a share of a win.
But how about the spin move by the big 7-footer? Not just getting it done, but in style. I tell you, he works as hard as anybody. Last year, when he made that big jump at Stanford, he had a big game at Stanford, and Tommy Lloyd talked about it. He had an opportunity, and he took advantage. Look at the spin move. Feels the defender on his waist right there, spins back. Folks, remember that's a 7-footer. What is he? I don't know what he weighs, but it's more than I weigh, and he is a big dude, strong, athletic. Look at that. Whew.
That game at Stanford, by the way, he had 21. He had 6 boards. He was 7 of 8 from the floor on the road. He made his shots, and it was crazy. Like, he shot 62% last year. Well, you can put that in the bank when you can count on that, and the shot selection, the focus. They've credited his focus, that he has upped that even more so, which I don't ever think was a big concern, but the fact that he's added to that, what they're already noticing in practices.
Well, think about this. We were talking about him last year. He wasn't even in the top 10 rotation when we watched the Red-Blue game a year ago. Then all of a sudden he became the 6th man of the year, or could have been the 6th man of the year. And now he's a flat-out starter that could really put up good numbers.
So to be fair, HoopsHD.com did name him their 6th man of the year, so someone did, sir.
Okay, I like that.
So we're going to give you that.
Because Pella won it with the Pac-12.
Yes.
And it was close. I actually felt Ballo's impact because of what he did in some of those road games may have been better, but, they both were right there.
Things a little bit rusty still. We're watching Jack Murphy doing some coaching on the other sideline. What a great asset to this program he has been. After stepping away for a bit to lead at Northern Arizona, Coach Murph has been a great right-hand man to that man, Tommy Lloyd, and was a great right-hand man to Lute.
He was, and a good head coach. Had a tough job up at NAU that they're doing actually a good job up there right now. But he just knows what you like about him. He knows everything about the program, X's and O's. He knows the personalities, who's cleaning things up, and he's the guy you kind of go to just for about any question.
Tubelis with a bucket.
Oh, good D.
Tubelis with another bucket. 9 times he has scored 20 or more in a college game.
Well, that was an impressive dunk. All the fans saw that, but I love the defense right there, the quick hands, getting into the dribbler right there, and flat out pick 6.
Basar. Come on, Matt Basar.
No, he can play. He's going to be a factor this year. And it's like I said, it's sort of a Pau Gasol at a young age comes to mind because he kind of does everything.
So at 17, he played for the Estonian senior men's national team, youngest ever to represent Estonia on their national team, the senior team.
Wow. Now look, Tubelis gets his hands in there. Ballo not seeing that coming from the big man, and then this is something easy. You better do that if you win the dunk contest.
Filip Borovicinen is at the line. KK Beko, his organization, and he played very well there. 20 plus 9 plus 4 assists.
And he got a chance to meet Dusan Ristic, also from Serbia, and asked him a little bit about, Tucson and the school, and what better player to get information from than Dusan, who loves Tucson. Was beloved by this crowd.
They built teams around Filip and have built teams around him. That's who he is in his home country.
I think that's a great point about Filip, is that he was the man where he was. And so a little bit of an adjustment for him now to figure out, how do I fit into a team? How do I become maybe a role player?
2 beasts battling here. This is great.
Yeah, Ballo scores on that one again. I just, it's not even the numbers, and Ballo has good numbers already today, but it's kind of the quickness, quick off his feet, athleticism. He just looks good around the paint.
Initially, Tubelis with the block. He came right back at him. Koulikoro and Mali in Western Africa. He has represented his national team, did so again this summer. They had stepped back for a little while for various reasons there, their national team. Information technology and security defense. At the line. He talked about Dusan Ristic, nearly 1,200 points in his career and the winningest player to come through this program. There weren't many losses on his resume, Dusan Ristic. He came at that right time.
He broke my record. I'm not real happy about that.
Sorry I brought it up.
What an incredible guy, though. He was a phenomenal guy.
Did you guys work things out?
We did.
Okay.
We worked it out.
Good. Hey, by the way, about Filip, they were talking about he had never had wings at all before coming here to the States. Now he can't stop having wings.
Oh, really?
He loves them. He loves them. He will go as many as 20 plus at a time. At 52, I know better to ever do that, but at that age, and as lean and fit as he is, enjoy your 20 wings. The rebounding, the presence, the second and third chances, and then
Basar. I just want to go with Basar.
That's right. Well, you remember last year when Koloko and Ballo played together, and they had some amazing runs when those two guys played. And right now you had Ballo and Basar together. That's almost impossible to stop on those offensive rebounds.
So those two together, Ballo and Basar, that's 16 points. That's 8 rebounds. They played 20 minutes. That's the story. That big fellow in the dunk contest, he was elevated.
He was a dude, man. He was a dude, Raleigh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he could. He's one of those guys you say he could go, because he could go on both ends. Athletic, and he got hot too. He had times where he would just catch fire.
Had some opportunities professionally with the Bulls organization. Continues overseas to earn a living playing as a professional, so not surprised. And a player like that, I'm sure, gets a call again to play in the league. So we'll keep an eye on Rawle Alkins, and glad that he stopped by. That was fun. All right, this is a true depth chart challenge now. I mean, if you're in a red jersey, you've got your hands full. So for a guy like Borovicinen, this will be cool to watch and see how he handles it. For a guy like Anderson, this will be a big challenge for him.
Well, and I'm excited to see Ramey and Kerr Kriisa play together. You know, two guys that can play point, they can play off. Whoever has it is going to take it. The other guy's going to get off the ball and look for something from his buddy, from his backcourt mate. It's going to be fun to watch these two guys play together.
It'll be interesting to see how this team shapes up offensively this year. Remember, Borovic and those two guys we just mentioned, Anderson. But then the one we didn't mention, Jordan Maines, was there to clean things up. The senior from Pinnacle High School in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah, he tried to dunk one earlier and now scores first point of the second half.
Julius grabbed the offensive rebound. Line drive miss. Courtney Ramey. Ramey, the son of Angie and Terrell, born in St. Louis. We talked about transferring from Texas. 9 points a game, 4 rebounds last year. More than half of his shots, Ramey, from 3.
You could tell Phillip did not connect with that one, but you can tell he's comfortable running the team by himself and being the focal point.
We'll see those two working together quite a bit. And that was Pelle Larsson with the lob inside to Azuelas. Larsson had a 6-assist game last year at Stanford. We'll have games like that as well. Matthew Lang out there, 23 in that red jersey, and coming in a red jersey, Luke Kristoviak from Salt Lake, Brighton High School, played at Utah for Dad Larry for a bit. And then last year played at Irvine Valley College, was an impactful player at Irvine Valley.
I'll tell you, Luke can play as well. I saw him in practice the other day and played really, really well. As another walk-on makes his presence known. Grant Whiteman knocking one in from 3. That looks sweet.
So the word on Whiteman playing in that second tier of the depth chart is this: he really pushes the scholarship guys.
He
that's
does.
A compliment.
I mean, look at that. Felt very comfortable. So I think he scored his first hoops last year, coming off the bench, and a super solid player out of South Point High School here in Tucson. Won a state title.
And 15 points in the title game.
Yeah, he was. I saw that game. I don't see a lot of high school games. I happened to see that game, and he was the MVP of that game, no question.
One time when I was a young man about his age, I purchased a car from his grandfather.
Really?
Here in Tucson.
That's awesome.
On my way to college in Alabama, I needed a car because mine didn't make it from California. Died at Picacho Peak. So I know the name very, very well. A friend of my father's, his grandfather.
That is awesome.
Kristoviak, good extra pass there underneath, too.
Well, I'll tell you, Kristoviak, he's a lefty. Doesn't have his dad's size, but he's got a lot of game. And, we always talk about it when a lefty gets it, kind of coming at you in a different angle. And nice finish by him.
At Irvine Valley last year, 14.8 points per game, 8 rebounds. Shot 50% from the floor. Brother Cam plays at Dartmouth. Always loved dealing with his dad.
He's got a couple sisters that are amazing volleyball players. You're going to hear about them in a few years.
Ballo fires hard, a little bit firm, and Anderson grabs the board. I think he got poked in the eye. He's trying to find that sight again. No time to find it. Here's the basketball. Jersey. Kristoviak turned the corner a little bit aggressive. Whiteman with another chance. Off the mark to the left. Foul underneath. Remember Nico Mannion, certainly. He played with Nico Mannion in high school where they won a state championship together.
Well, Jordan could have been a scholarship player at a number of Division I schools. Chose to come here to Arizona, play on a top 10 team, and try to win a national title. So he's an incredible practice player. He's a guy that on a certain team could get some minutes if guys got hurt. He can really play.
Larsson off the mark that time. There's some pressure from Ramey on Lang. I wanted to see Anderson.
I did
shoot
too.
it.
I wanted to see that.
I wanted to see what he would do. Oh, what a bold and beautiful pass. My goodness.
Yeah, that was nice. From half court, just saw the defender just arched it right over his hand. Ramey is a guy that I think is going to be doing everything for this team on both ends as well. Super competitive, saw him this summer actually playing pickup against Ben Mathurin. Got right in Mathurin, had no problem with it. There's that pass, just kind of lobs it right over.
That's practice number 4. That's a good pass for practice number 4.
Yeah, you know, Ramey's been around. I mean, this. Think about the gyms, the arenas that he's played in, Fog Allen and at the University of Texas and at Baylor and all those games that Texas plays. I'm sure all the non-conference games. This guy's been, you know, you think of Justin Kier last year, you know, who came off the bench as a point guard or a 2-guard, was such a stabilizing force. I think Ramey's going to be like that, but get even more minutes and be more productive from a scoring standpoint.
Anderson, his second attempt from the line. He committed 2 days after Tommy Lloyd was named head coach.
Anderson did.
That's exactly correct.
Wow, okay.
That state title game, by the way, he won it senior year. His average senior year at Perry High School in Gilbert, 13 with 11 rebounds, a couple of blocks a game. Interesting player. Hey, Vesar's back in. Henry Vesar, the freshman from Estonia.
Well, and I think, Sud, if I'm not mistaken, Anderson and his family are friends with Caliendo. I think that's why Frank Caliendo was a judge here today.
That's a big league tidbit by you right there. That's a mid-season tidbit.
That's my only nugget.
That's a March Madness level tidbit.
Nice look. Ooh.
There he is again, Henry.
Nice.
Oh, Henry. But again, Krystkowiak keeps fighting and fighting. Number 42 with the bucket.
I've been impressed with the walk-ons. This walk-on team might beat any walk-on team in America. They look good. And a couple of scholarship players, obviously, but 3 of the walk-ons out there are really solid.
So Ball, we look to Adama. He turns 19 in December, and he's in his second year of college basketball. The man out of Le Mans, France. Curious to see what he brings. You can see he definitely has added to his physique. Maybe not a ton of size, but he's more cut up out there. Number 2 in that navy blue jersey, the Frenchman. Mom and Dad, they both played basketball. Brother played basketball. A bucket on the other side.
Red team is rolling.
We take a nod to the 80s when things were amazing. The first.
And in the summer of 2021, had a Zoom call with Nike. They saw the first uniforms. Those came out, and they kind of worked with them, tweaked with them. As you pointed out, they've got the cactus logo on the waistband, the homage to Lute under the pant leg, and then they got the little cats on the right side. That's from the 88 team to about 91. So pretty cool. They went old school, kind of connected to new school as well.
It was interesting. It was fun. You can see things in videos, and you know, obviously how it was all unveiled. That was fun how it was unveiled. And, you know, Steve Kerr, Jason Terry, players like that helping to unveil the uniforms. But that's Brian, right?
There's Brigger. And, you know, the thing about Brigger, maybe more than any equipment manager in the country, the dude has 4 nicknames. That's how beloved he is on this Arizona team. And I asked Justin Kokoski, the trainer for this team, 4 nicknames. They call him Locker Room Mascot is one of them. He's got another one. Tommy Lloyd calls him Spirit Animal. His 3rd nickname, which he got years ago, was the Equipment Manager of the Year. They call him Emoy for short. And then I love this one, Clyde the Glide to Tide for an equipment. These are 4 full nicknames. Unbelievable.
Excellent passing of the basketball. That is such, growing up around professional sports with my father in the industry, playing college sports, and then a brief time in professional sports as an athlete. The role of that person who handles the equipment, the leadership, and is kind of a cheerleader. These athletes get to know this man so well, so important. Important.
Gives him look at that energy. Every game, every practice, he's throwing 5s. Big time on that. I asked him a question I did not know, and I never even remembered this as a player. I said, who decides when you're on the road what color you need to wear? Because they wear white at home. There he is right there. And he said, you know, we try to have the uni opposite of the other team. So if they play Cal, they're wearing blue or white, they wear red. But he said players will come to him, and when they want something and they're feeling it, he goes with what the players want.
Love that. That's like the starting pitcher in baseball rule.
Which is?
You go with the jersey that the starting pitcher wants.
Oh, he decides.
If in fact
I didn't
there
know
are
that.
alternates, you bet. If a team has an alternate and the pitcher's been hot, you bet. That's
Really?
great. You want your guys feeling good, looking good, feeling good.
That's right.
And if they're hot in a certain color uniform, that's neat. Good stuff, Matt. Great behind-the-scenes stuff. We got to get him that Glenn Sharp Equipment Manager of the Year award. I think people think he's lined his trophy cases. He has not won yet. So.
Well, he has the hashtag is Emoy, Equipment Manager of the Year. Everybody thinks he wins it every year.
So I've just every chip for me is in on Vesar. Just every chip. I love the name Henry Vesar. I go by Vesar. By the way, he's a great chessman.
Really?
That one penetrated and a nice job by Borovicinin. Right up under Azulis, who comes back the other way, and he'll go to the line. Yeah, to finish the thought on Vesar, an excellent, elite chess player. It's just that none of his teammates can play chess with him, so he needs to find someone. If you're out there on campus, find him. He'll be easy to find, and let him know. If you play chess and you're a student here, let him know you've got some game. You'd like to, play some chess with him. He's excellent.
I love it. Well, I think, last year when you look at this Arizona team, and this is what Vesar will bring this year, it was Tubelis and Koloko, and then when you brought Ballo in, people were just beat up already, and then Ballo comes. Vesar could be that guy this year because you think of Ballo, Tubelis, they're going to start, they pound the guys the first 5, 6, 7 minutes, and now all of a sudden you bring in a future potential NBA player that has a 7-something wingspan, 7'1" in shoes. Incredible.
Tartu Estonio is about 120 miles south of Tallinn, Estonia. Tartu is where Kerr Kriisa calls home. That is his home, and so they're about 2 hours as the crow flies between one another.
Yeah, I asked them if they knew each other, if there was some sort of connection on the recruiting, because you thought, oh, okay, this is all Kriisa bringing him here, and they didn't really. They were just two guys from the same country. I'm sure Vesar knew, obviously, about Kriisa and what he was doing at Arizona, but...
No, but you know who Kerr Kriisa did help bring here? Courtney Ramey.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in on the communication. He was in on, hey, now that you're in the portal, we want you to come play for us. Kerr Kriisa was on the forefront communicating with them, and I love that.
Well, I love that, too, because Ramey could play his position. So that's a guy secure in what he's doing. He just wants him to help the team, can play with Kriisa. So you really respect someone who's not afraid of someone maybe taking playing time. And I think he saw that as a guy not taking his time, but just adding to what they can do together.
A couple of extra passes. And it's a banking three-pointer for Jordan Maines. You smile, you enjoy it, and you have fun in front of the packed house.
The other thing about Ramey and Cedric Henderson did, watch this. Ooh. See, that was the Koloko play last year. That was a little bit behind him, but you love to see, if you're an Arizona fan, Ballo doing that same role that Koloko could do.
Ball to Ballo a moment ago. Ackerley steps back for the triple. Ball to Ballo a moment ago. Ackerley steps back for the triple.
30 feet and nailed it. Road show here tomorrow, right?
Yes.
They got him in the house.
It's basketball tonight, though.
Wait, they got the road show here tomorrow, right?
Yes.
They got him in the house. Ashley and the whole gang here tomorrow.
Are you hosting them tonight at your home? A meal? A little late night meal at the Muehlbach house?
Hosting maybe at a couple local
okay.
watering holes or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, we got to get out. We got to get out and see Tucson. We're just going to find Richard Jefferson and follow him.
Good luck finding him. He's worked this whole building.
Woo, there's your guy. There's your guy.
Henry. Oh, Henry.
That is a beautiful, beautiful Estonian connection. The Estonian connection here.
Well, called that play out of the timeout is my guess. And you see Ballo there with the screen and Vesar with the length. Easy.
Come on, smile, Henry, just for a second. That was all sorts of fun. We know Kerr's not afraid to smile out there.
One of the things they said about Henry that I was really surprised at is that he can guard guys off pick and rolls. When I looked at him, a little thin, young guy, obviously, but they said he can really guard guys on the perimeter, and that's It's something that's going to go a long way to getting PT, to getting playing time.
The goal is to work on the flexibility. The goal is to work on the strength. It's obvious. You can see that with your eyes, and that just comes with time. There are certain skills that you can tell he possesses.
There he is, one-on-one. Look at him out here guarding on the perimeter. Ballo guarding on the perimeter.
Anderson. Let that ball down low underneath. And he'll send it back the other way. Yeah, that was a fun Estonian connection. Estonia, by the way, borders the Baltic Sea and the Gulf of Finland. Yes, my internet works as well. About 1.3 million people. So a small country. The triple. That one rings on home. Kirk Risa from Estonia.
Now, hadn't had a great shooting night tonight, but that's the kind of shot he will need to hit this year and hit more often of it. We talked about it earlier, getting more twos, but the real key for him is the three-point shot. When he's hitting threes and can open that offense, and I think he's a very good shooter, and I think he's got the potential, Darren, to be an elite shooter, and I think that's the next step for him.
When he was on the floor last year, 25% of all assists came out of his hands. He assisted in 25% of all baskets when he was out there. He's a special point guard. Interesting to see his penetration. He did average 5 assists per game last year. To go back to the more counting stat, if you will.
There's your guy.
There it is again. Estonian connection.
We're going to have to do a feature on him tomorrow with you.
Stepping just inside the three-point line. Jordan Maines drops that one home.
How fun is it for these few walk-ons to play like real minutes in a packed house at McHale against the starters and score some buckets? I mean, that is a little pick and roll here. Nice job bringing it down.
There'll be some big bodies waiting for him, obviously, and he'll start having to deal with them once we get into competitive and conference play. Talking about O. Henry. Nice job by Lang, by the way, drawing a charge on the other end. Lang, the fifth-year graduate student at Eller College of Business from Gonzaga. Umar Ballo with the bucket. He's kind of wedged himself in. Hard to keep track of how the points have worked because it's been different jerseys, different teams, but unofficially he's got 14.
Yeah, I think Ballo's looked really good tonight. To me, maybe one of the top 3 stories just standing out to me.
Anderson, beautiful, and a nice pass by Kristovia.
He's going to be a good player here at Arizona. He is going to be a good player. I don't know how much he helps him this year, but he's going to help.
Battling underneath. Now those 2 wild cards that you talked about, we're watching them tonight. Dylan Anderson and Henry Vesar. How much playing time will they be able to acquire? And here's Henry. So last season, playing for Real Madrid youth, 10.2 points per game, about 23 minutes per game. Talked about that time that he was called up to the senior national team at 17 years old for a FIBA qualifier, the youngest to ever wear an Estonian national team uniform. 17.
Well, and I want to touch on what you just said. You just said, and we talked about this with the coaches, Real Madrid. You said Real Madrid. That is like the program over in Europe. And so when you're with that program, you've had elite coaching, elite, competition, and you've been in a big time system. And so even though it wasn't the main head team, he was on that youth team, he's seen it at a very high level. So what he's doing here doesn't surprise me tonight.
He sits by his teammates. I was hoping he was going to sit by Lauri Markkanen on the far end of the bench.
I know, right?
There could be some more learning going on.
Well, some good similarities there, right?
Yeah, you bet. But I don't blame him for sitting by his teammates. How cool is that right there, that shot, sitting on the bench?
Yeah, he just went to the bench, right? Uh-oh. Oh, with a little swag, too. Look at Umar.
Umar
in the house. Running the floor, setting it up defensively. Turnover. There's Kerr penetrating, lost the basketball, knocked out of bounds. Notable to see him penetrate, but this a moment ago.
Well, I mean, yeah, he finished, but look at the steal. Look at him getting out of half court and watch this. Watch the left hand. Oh, yeah. Hey, someone's got to fill the Dalen Terry emotion and spirit. We know Kerr can do part of that, but maybe Ballo does some of it.
Great celebration tonight.
Oh, leave a look away.
Kerr said that'd be a foul regular season. And another chance for the first team to shoot it.
Interesting to me, the last couple of possessions, Ramey throws the ball up the court. There's Ballo talking to his coach, having fun. But Ramey makes a lot of good decisions if you're watching, the throw-ahead pass, the pass in half court. Kind of a quiet night for him, but a lot of times guys that play the game the right way, in red-blue games, you don't get noticed as much because they're not taking all the shots.
Yeah, this is a different kind of game. You're exactly right.
Sort of a
Ramey and Cedric,
right?
for Cedric Henderson Jr. Their plans are long range.
Yeah.
And look, I don't blame a guy like Vesar. Like, I need to make a splash now.
Right. Oh yeah.
I'm over here.
Right. Well, and I don't even think they've run a play for Vesar. Maybe the one lob play, but he's just getting everything on talent and length.
Valmo, professional basketball team in Estonia. Used to wearing their uniform, senior and junior national team multiple times as Henry watches from the bench. Umar sits down. What a night for Ballo.
Well, and by the way, check out the score here. Oh, no. They had a chance.
My broadcast partner asked me to check out the score. I've got to be honest, and I probably shouldn't admit this as a broadcaster. It's the first time I've checked out the score tonight.
The score means nothing until the last 30 seconds, because I hadn't checked it out until 30 seconds ago.
It's the first time I looked at all at the score in this exhibition. That's been a lot of fun, but it is a two-point game. The headband man is at the line.
Well, if he hits both, he probably puts it away, but
had a fun game against Michigan in that win last year, so he didn't have a huge scoring game. And it was early in his impact year, so he had 7 points, 7 assists, and 4 steals against Michigan in the win.
That was kind of the game that sort of told everybody and put Arizona on the map.
Yes.
And how bad they beat Michigan and how well they played. That was a coming out party.
He later on went on the road, did Kerr, and had 21, 10, and 10 for the triple-double at Utah.
Yeah, I just happened to be around Coach Lloyd the other day, and Kerr was there, and he asked me, he goes, because he recognized that Kerr and I both had triple-doubles, and he said, Matt, what was your triple-double like? And I said, well, it was okay, because I didn't have a ton of points and rebounds and assists, but I had a triple-double. And I told him, he said, well, what was it? I said, well, it was 11, 10, and 10. And he turned to Kerr and he said, what was yours, Kerr? And he said, it was more than that.
Well played.
Kerr is not afraid to talk a little trash.
Well played, but he did it respectfully.
Oh, yeah.
He respected his elder.
He did. So right here, the blue team is up 3. I'm assuming they're not going to foul. They're going to let the red team try to play this out and see if they can knock one down. Let's see what Coach Murphy has in store, what kind of call he has with 19:5 to go.
What do you got over there, Murph? Jack Murphy on one side. Associate head coach for this team.
Who do they go to? Who does the red team go to right now? Let's see who they bring out. Do they go to Jordan Maines, the walk-on, who's hit a couple buckets?
There's no size out there anymore. I'm going into Anderson. Well, they need a 3.
They need a 3? They need a 3. I think, or do they go to Lang, 23? I think.
You like Matthew Lang?
I like Lang. I think they go to Lang Although Lang's in there. Kerr's on him, and Kerr knows it. Kerr's talking to him right now, saying, I'm not going to let you get anything.
I got Borovichinen with the game time bucket. Maine's up with it.
Wow, that looked good when it.
Up the ladder to
That
grab the
looked
rebound,
good.
Henderson.
That was contested and was online, Jordan Maines. How good a highlight would this have been, tying the game? That was right online.
So Cedric is at the line. From Memphis, Tennessee originally, Briarcrest Christian School. Last year was 14 with 6 rebounds and 2 assists for Campbell. And this is his new basketball home. They talk about him reading the ball so well coming out of screens. 2 times he was all Big South. 20 or more points 14 times. Excited to see him play this year. One more chance, and it's Lang that launches it. It's off the mark. A celebration of basketball, and it was that tonight. 100%. Kudos to this crowd. They sold it out. Kudos to the National Coach of the Year for addressing them and creating a great sense of excitement and stir early on. And kudos to having the courage to doing it on September the 30th. The nation is watching this event because it's September 30th, and it's exciting that they did it so early. I'm sure the envy of a lot of programs, not just around the PAC, but around the country, to have the courage to do it now.
Community for the team, and you know, a little basketball. They got a little tape now.
Yeah, there's some tape to work with. There certainly is, which is a great call and an opportunity too, after you look through that tape, to get to work. I mean, to train, to get physical, and physical fitness certainly was not a big concern, not a big question. Some of the big names that stood out tonight. Henry Vesar was great. Really watching him fit in in a quality way. Umar Abalo was great as well. His size, his presence, his fitness, his focus. And of course, well, they all can stop by. And we hope to have a quick conversation. We've dispatched Matt out to the floor to have a chat. Abalo great tonight. Kriisa, fun to watch him come back in and take the offense over. He had 5 points. Be sure to visit have a conversation for us, Matt. Talk to some of these guys. Take it away.
All right, hey, we're going to start with Pelle Larsson. Pelle, what was it like out there? The Red-Blue game in September. Had all the fans out, had a lot of fun. What was it like?
No, it was really fun. Like, as soon as I came up for warm-ups, I heard the band. I'm like, oh, shit, we back. So it was really fun, and to get to see everyone's faces, the old guys coming back, it was a blessing.
Zoo, you know, you guys had such an unbelievable season last year. You obviously lost some great players to the pros. How do you feel about this team coming in? I know it's early. You only had this Red-Blue game, a few practices. How are you feeling about it?
We lost some good players.